as Trump supporters. But that's one thing that I sit there and I look at is like, okay, well, what does a Trump supporter look like? Not to take anything away from anything by somebody said tonight, but what does a Trump supporter look like? I mean, that's kind of pretty much what they're already saying is, okay, you're not going to wear your black hoods and your black mask and stuff like that because we know who the hell you are when you do that. So for them to be somewhat sneaky, they're not going to dress like that. But, what they have to realize is there's already people that have infiltrated their ranks and stuff like that to where we already fucking know, guy. These people, these journalists, these other people that are infiltrated your ranks that already know what the fuck is going on. We know the plans and all this shit. That's why people are already taking action who are letting some of this already leak out, because to show you that we already know. Not all of us, but a good portion, especially our first responders, our policemen, our firemen, and some are silent. But the thing of it is if we've already infiltrated these ranks and we already knew about this before they let it out, so we're already a couple of steps ahead of them, and wherever they like it or not, I mean, true-blooded Americans, how many of us actually walk around with guns? Those things that supposedly kill people. How many of us walk around with guns? I pack everywhere I go. I got me a nice little 9. It's on my hip everywhere I go. So, you try to walk up on me and try to take something, you probably going to end up with a couple bullets in you. Straight up self-defense. You're not coming up, not touching me, not touching my truck, not touching my kids, you're not touching my stuff, point blank innocence, period. And, there's a lot of other Americans out there. Then you have to look at some of these states who are open carry states. They might not be openly carrying, but you could bet your ass somebody's carrying something. I mean, I have a lot of friends and stuff out there that don't have CWPs and they still carry. It just is what it is. I mean, you're not going to get in a whole lot of trouble if you get pulled the fuck over, and as long as you take the clip out and the chamber's empty and you got the gun up on the dash, they're really not going to say anything, especially till you're around in the Carolinas. North Carolina is an open carry state, so you don't have to have a CWP as long as the weapon is visible. So that means that you don't have to have a CWP. You can walk into Walmart or places like that who actually let you carry guns, and as long as it's out in the open to where everybody can see it, you can carry. Yes, different states have different gun laws everywhere you go, but especially if you're driving, as long as the clip's out and there's nothing in the chamber, then yes, those talks have been going on for quite a while, Deb. Betty, that was some of the stuff that I was actually looking at a little bit earlier. I try to keep up with BBC is one of the news channels that I like to keep up to date with because they're not an actual news channel that's in the U.S. So they actually put it out there the way that they see it and the way it kind of should be portrayed. And a lot of the stuff that they've been reporting here, they do see there is talks about Russia, but it's not anything too terrible right now. They think Russia may and could end up as an ally of North Korea, but that's only because of China. China is an ally of North Korea, but that's not to say that they wouldn't jump ship if North Korea tried to pull some shit. I mean, we all know that they're doing weapon testing and stuff like that, and that they're trying to build something that would hit the west coast of the United States because that's the closest to them, which, everybody knows that, if North Korea is like just a regional player, they're not a superpower. They're not a superpower. Yes, Russia is protecting Syria for the simple fact of oil. We're one of the, besides Iraq and Syria and Saudi Arabia, the Middle East is rich of oil. We have our own stockpile. For some odd reason, we got cut off to the oil reserves to the other countries across the world. We have our own stockpile that we can reach into and dive into that would keep our stuff up and running for quite some time. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that say, well, why don't we tap into it now to bring gas prices and stuff down? Gas prices really aren't that bad right now. Compared to what they were 30 years ago, yes, they're bad. I mean, I can remember when gas was like 89 cents a gallon, 80 cents a gallon. You know, that was back in the early 80s. But, you know, we don't want to tap into it right now, because if it does get to that point where we have to cut ourselves off from, you know, the oil exchanges across the Middle East and stuff like that, we want to be able to have something that we can depend on. And unfortunately, we have a lot of technology and stuff like that requires us to have crude oil and stuff like that to be able to operate and stuff like that. Cars, trains, you know, construction stuff, construction equipment, and there's a lot that runs off of that too. So a lot of our building and a lot of our getting around and stuff would definitely come to a halt. So something else that's popped up in the news over the last week is the JFK files have been put out, and you know, a lot of the people are not even hitting on the Secret Serviceman's pistol that went off climbing on back of the limousine whenever JFK was shot. They're still trying to pin stuff over to Lee Harvey Oswald and him being the lone shooter. But, you know, there has been talks from a Secret Serviceman who was like, you know, ended up kind of shooting him point blank, but the initial wound had already been hit or already been condemned by Lee Harvey Oswald. And we still kind of question what the hell happened with that. But here's a little bit on that.
Well, I don't think anybody should be looking for any bombshells. There won't be a document pointing to a second gunman in Dallas. I think all of the most credible evidence we've had all these years shows that Lee Harvey Oswald was the gunman in Dealey Plaza and almost certainly the lone gunman. But I think there is a real question as to whether or not other people knew he was going to do this and encouraged him to do this. You know, he was not the pure lone wolf that the U.S. government tried to portray him as. To my mind, this has always been sort of the secret chapter of the Kennedy assassination drama. Why did Lee Harvey Oswald, you know, who was a self-proclaimed Marxist, a champion of Castro's revolution, go to Mexico City just several weeks before the assassination, where he met with Cuban spies and Russian spies and other people who at the height of the Cold War might have wanted to see Kennedy dead? There is evidence out there that Oswald, while he's in Mexico City, openly talked about killing Kennedy. And the question becomes whether or not any of those people offered to help him or gave him encouragement or offered to help him escape after the assassination. And
you know, and I'll go on and say something about that. You know, it's you do look kind of damn guilty whenever you talking to foreign assassins and stuff like that. It was at the height of the Cold War. There was a lot of people looking to get rid of JFK because he was one hell of a president. You know, it's been proven, you know, regardless on what aspect you are doing in life, if you're doing something good, if you're doing something right, you're going to have people that are attack you, period. It doesn't matter if you're the president, it doesn't matter if you're in sports, acting, it doesn't matter, you know, if you're running a nonprofit, if you're in the military, if you're doing something right and you're doing something great, you know, you're going to get attacked. You're going to have people that run their mouths. You're going to have people that are trying to put you out of your game. You know, we have never, you know, even myself with BWI and DGN, I mean, yes, every once in a while it happens. You know, people try to kind of ruin a good thing. You know, that we was speaking on that about a week and a half ago or a week ago that, you know, there's a lot of people out here doing a lot of good things. You know, freedom fighters to veterans to first responders to anything. And if you're new to the show, if you're new to the network, you know, myself, Big Country, refer to civilians as freedom fighters. I don't like the word civilians. I definitely don't like the word taters. You know, the freedom fighters are the ones who stand here on the home front. Are our spouses that are left behind while we go overseas and go to war, you know, and that goes for our first responder spouses as well. You know, they get left every night or during the daytime, as me as a volunteer firefighter, or you got your police officers in the EMS, they still putting their lives and stuff on the line every day, and you're gonna have people that attack a good thing. Either they're a part of it and they make a wrong decision and become not a part of a certain group or situation that's going on, or you got people like this with JFK, who was a damn good president and was straight up putting everything the way they should be. So therefore you had, people like Russia and Mexico and whatnot that wanted him assassinated. And yes, if you Lee Harvey Oswald, if he's sitting here and having these meetings with these people and whatnot, and then all of a sudden, bam, this incident happens, then there it is. And you did hear him say that you're not going to find a second document that talks about a second shooter. And what they're talking about right there is the Secret Serviceman who jumped on the back of the limo, and within feet away, whenever the limo took off, he fell backwards. And anybody that's on the back of a car or something like that, 9 times out of 10, if you're falling, you're going to clinch. And unfortunately, his hand was on the weapon. That's why they teach you, if you're not actively shooting, if you're not actively engaging your target, regardless if you're at the firing range, if you're hunting, if you're in self-defense mode, if you're not actively engaging your target, then your finger should not be on that trigger. Period. Point blank in a sentence. That is your main line of safety. If I'm not sitting here, if I'm looking at you and I got a gun pointed, my finger shouldn't be on that trigger. My finger should be on the side. If I'm actively engaging you, then that means my finger's going inside and put my hand on the trigger and I'm going to pull it. That's right. That's right, Miss Betty. No finger on the trigger. That's for damn sure. So, that's something that you don't want to get into. So, that's just another lesson right there for people. It's even if that Secret Serviceman did not officially cause the death of JFK, for the simple fact that his gun was fired and was actively hit the president, his finger should have never been on that trigger. And it may not have been. I could be wrong, and his finger could have been on the side, and he just moved it and stuck it in the wrong spot. Who knows? That's a moment that we can't really say for sure because of the high attention. I'm sure his adrenaline was pumping, and there was a lot of emotions and stuff that was involved in that whole thing. All you can say is, prayers to the Kennedy family and hope everything's going well, because they've had a lot of stuff going on. And, that's kind of crazy. All right, so we're going to go into our commercial block, and then we're going to go into a song by Skillet, the song Stars. If y'all don't know who Skillet is, check them out, man. They're snarky. What up, Oz? So we're going to go into our commercial break and then jump into Skillet. I've been watching them here a lot lately, man. That's a badass band. You ought to check them out, man. So here we go.
Welcome to the Dangerous Grounds Network. Hey guys and gals, why don't you take your dick beaters off the video games in your phone and listen to the Dangerous Grounds Network. We play whatever you want over here, baby. This is the Dangerous Grounds Network. Let's get dangerous.
You don't have to be lonely.
Veterans are
Lonely.com.
This is Sam from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network.
Branded Warriors Inc., the original tattoo therapy program in America. Big Country and his band of warriors will take care of all America's heroes, with one drop of ink at a time. Go to bwitattoos.org to fill out your application and send it to bwitattoos@yahoo.com. Then the power of the ink and BWI will heal your mind.
Black Rose Tattoo Shop. veteran Rand and branded warriors' preferred tattoo shop. BlackRoseTattoo.com. All your tattoo needs.
This is